legal position of the property, if they see something which could materially affect a person's decision making, then yes, they should flag it. But they're not going to be doing all the preparation work that Julie's just talked about.
No, but they don't have the bare bone levels of being regulated and having a property in auction.
He's asking, what's the protection, basically? What kind of protection do we have as consumers from a point of view? Because I know the Misrepresentation Act would be something.
Minimum levels you've got to have.
How much protected are we as consumers?
Well, you have protection under the Misrepresentation Act. You may be a member of a regulatory body like RICS or Property Mark, but some aren't.
Are not some of the options
aren't members of Property Mark and aren't.
Are you in London?
There will be some. I'd like to actually go on Auctioneer's websites and see whether they say they're members of Property Mark or RICS.
We've got to remember, auctions are caveat emptor. I mean,
it is buyer beware. Yeah. Can we move on to that? The gentleman's been asked a long time.
You often see small plots of land with permission for one or two houses in good areas. I'm not talking about sort of part of a field in the countryside or something. And they look quite cheap, they look like a good deal. And there's often not a huge amount of demand for them. Do you have any sort of cautionary tales or sort of great experiences of people?
Question was, he's seen plots of land coming up for sale with permission for one or two houses on them. Is there a cautionary tale? Well, it's due diligence and calling Julie. No,
cautionary tale is, I've done sort of reasonable sized developments over the years. One was a former care home on the Wirral. It was sort of semi-derelict, really, converted into 13 luxury apartments and a bungalow. The big issue with that is bringing the services in. So you've got to consider, if you're bringing gas in, for instance, it's not cheap. And then you've got to consider, well, if someone's got planning for two houses in a decent area and it looks cheap, then okay, if it's a receiver, because one of the things with auctions that I tend to do is I look to see who the seller is. So when you've got a housing association, a receiver, an administrator, something like that, the rational people are trying to get some cash to pay debts. When it's someone else, then you have to really think to yourself hard, why are they selling it by auction? It could be it's going to cost a fortune to get the services in before you even build anything.
Okay, sorry, so good.
You mentioned that this property with no unregistered and no title deed. I'm just trying to understand how can this even happen in the first place. And the second thing is also what really happened if a consort had actually bought it under the auction for that particular property. What actually happens? Where does the money go to? Does it go to the trader? Who actually? What happens to the money?
Lady asked, if somebody did buy under a property which wasn't registered with Land Registry, what would happen, and what would happen to the money if the person asked for it?
Yeah, sure. That's a very interesting question. So I'm not too sure I'm super clear on the question. So the person is based on the story that I told. Yes.
How does it even, in this day and age, how can a property be
allowed to be sold, basically?
Yeah, and not have a title deed in the first place.
Got it. So we had an act that required us to register properties around 1980, but there's some little plots of land and properties that are yet to be registered. So that's not unusual. So in this particular, having an unregistered property in Great Britain is not really unusual at all. It's nothing to worry about. The only reason we said don't start with those when you're starting at auction is because we won't have the opportunity to raise as many questions as we would want to. Yes? So just to make that record clear, unregistered properties are not unusual. Okay? Because once you buy an unregistered property, you automatically trigger compulsory registration, as it were. So if all the documents are in order, then the property will be registered in your name. Yes? But if the documents are not in order, you've bought the property at auction, you may be in trouble. So what this trader was trying to perhaps do is to get a no title indemnity insurance. So you could potentially get that, but I really don't want to bombard you with the intricacies of that. So the short answer is, if you buy unregistered land, if all the documents are in order, you can register it. No problem at all. But if the documents are not in order, you will be in a bit of a sticky situation. Yes? Okay. You will have, fine. Because you've paid money, you will have what is called an estate contract in law, because you've parted with the money, you've got this property, so then we start all the litigation to figure out how we can get it registered. So we will speak with Land Registry, we'll liaise with Land Registry, we will speak with the banks, we'll see whether this person had a mortgage before, we'll start piecing everything together. But that's going to take us a long time. Not only is it going to take us a long time, it's going to cost us a small fortune. We're investors, we want to make money, we don't want to lose money, do we?
I wouldn't be looking at unregistered land at auction, if I have, as somebody who's not experienced in that. Just that the hard deadline of the auction date really puts you under pressure, and solicitors take days off, etc. You might not get all the answers you want.
I just wondered if it's useful for Julie, just for 1 minute, to mention the indemnity policies that are available for people who buy at auction, because Julie did. But there's a wide range of them, and they are very useful. I think it's worth a minute just to...
Sure. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, thank you very much, Dominic. So when we're buying at auction, we talked about not having a lot of information. So, for example, if there weren't any searches, you can get your solicitors to get a no searches indemnity insurance. So that policy will protect you from anything that could crop up or may have cropped up from the searches. Yes? And sometimes when you're buying at auction, I think Dominic made a really, really good point in terms of when people are selling at auction, it's always super important to know why. Why is this property being sold at auction? So when it's a receiver, you know. When it's a repossession, you know. Yes. But when a property is sold at auction, you can have full title guarantee, which is the best title that you can have. You can have limited title guarantee, which is when receivers are selling and they're saying, we don't know that much about this property, so we are not giving you full title, we're giving you limited, because we've got limited knowledge about the property. You can Google these terms, you'll find the answers, or use ChatGPT or whatever. But full title guarantee, limited title guarantee, or no title guarantee. What can you do if you've got limited or no title guarantee? You can get indemnity insurance. Limited title guarantee, that will protect you for anything that could crop up. Have I missed any other indemnity policies? You can indemnify your life against your husband if you want.
You need to mention covenants.
Yes, I do. Thank you so much. So restrictive covenants, you can have indemnity insurance in relation to those. You can also have missing title deeds indemnity policy. So yes, we said title deeds are very important, but if some documents are missing, you can also have indemnity insurance. So the long and short of it, if you've got a problem, you can insure it. Yeah. Okay. Covenants. Okay, a covenant is a fancy word. Lawyers like using big words because we get paid more money if we sound very educated. So a covenant is a promise. It's a legal promise. That's what it is. So covenants normally are contained in leases or transfer deeds. So one person promises the other to say, okay, when you buy this property, you're not going to hang your clothes outside there. That's a bit far-fetched. But sometimes you get covenants like that. Covenants for use of the property. This is a really good one. So sometimes when we buy properties and they're leaseholds, yes, it says not to use the property other than